my angel shall go before thee. Exodus chapter 23, 20 to 33. The making of a nation in God's economy is an elaborate affair. For Israel, the nation God Himself creates and designs sets the example for all the nations of the world. God would make them a multitude from a family of 70 when they entered Egypt. This was foretold to Abram when God made a covenant with him in Genesis 15 concerning the nation that God will establish through his loins. And 400 years the Lord doing with the people of Israel. Well, God was preparing a nation out of this people. God was preparing for himself a people. And what is God doing when he prepared his people? Well, here we said that he made a covenant with them, and he passed to them the instruction. You recall when we were at the introduction of chapter 19, we said that God unfolds for us his purpose in establishing the nation of Israel when he said that they would be a kingdom of priests and a holy nation before God. They would be God's witness to all the nations of the world. And a priest is a representative of God before men. And a kingdom of priests makes Israel a nation of witnesses to all the nations of the world. And they would be God's representative to point the world to the living and true God. This was the purpose for the establishment of the nation of Israel. And the groundwork is being prepared with the appointment of Israel's judges for the giving. And then from chapter 20 to 23, the giving of the constitution of this holy nation. The laws that would govern this holy nation. And obedience to God's law establishes Israel as a holy nation before God. So we have taken time to consider the giving of the law in Exodus 20 to 23. These are the laws that God required of his people. Proverbs 3, chapter 3, verse 1 to 4, Solomon said, "My son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee. Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck, write them upon the table of thy heart. So shalt thou find favor and good understanding in the sight of God and men." These righteous laws bring order and peace and harmony to the nation. When practiced, these laws exhort the nation as a wise and understanding people before the nations of the world. And so, with a people ready, with a set of laws that God gave them, they have a constitution in which to run the nation. Now God tells them that he will be with them. He would send his angel by the presence of the angel to bring them into the land. And the three thoughts for us: purifying presence, prospering presence, protective presence. Purifying presence, verse 20 to 21, 24, 32 to 33. "Behold, I send an angel before thee to keep thee in the way, to bring thee into the place which I have prepared." The Lord sends an angel to be with his people, guarding and guiding them in the way. The Lord sought their cooperation to hearken to the angel's instruction of wisdom, to navigate them in the way to the promised land, to establish them as a nation. The angel Gabriel was sent to instruct Daniel. You remember in Daniel chapter 8, Daniel was concerned about Israel's future on their 60th year of their captivity. They will be returning soon after 70 years. What will be the future? And it was recorded here in Daniel chapter 8, verse 15. And it came to pass when even I, Daniel, had seen the vision and sought for the meaning, then behold, there stood before me an appearance of a man, and I heard a man's voice between the banks of Ulai, which called and said, Gabriel, make this man to understand the vision. So he came near where I stood, and when he came, I was afraid and fell on my face. But he said unto me, Understand, O Son of Man, for at the time of the end shall be the vision. Now as he was speaking with me, I was in a deep sleep on my face toward the ground, and he touched me and set me upright. And he said, Behold, I make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation, what shall be in the future concerning Israel. And that prophecy would stretch all the way to the tribulation time. He shall be for the time appointed, the end shall be. And the angel Gabriel was also sent to give the priest Zacharias information concerning the birth of his son, John, who would be the forerunner of Christ. In his marriage to Elizabeth, they had no children, and the angel came to him. Luke chapter 1, verse 19. I am Gabriel, that stand in the presence of God, and am sent to speak unto thee, and to show thee these glad tidings. And behold, thou shalt be dumb, and not able to speak until the day of these things shall be performed, because thou believest not my word, which shall be fulfilled in their season. And the people waited for Zacharias and marveled as he tarried long in the temple. The angel Gabriel spoke to Zacharias. Zacharias was unbelieving at that time. Well, the Lord struck him. He was dumb till the birth of John. And so the instruction given to Israel, right, was that there would be an angel that would be brought to keep their way, to bring them into the place which God has prepared for them, the promised land, the land that would be filled with milk and honey. And the instruction given by the Lord to Israel was to beware of him and obey the voice of his angel. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgression, for his name is, for my name, the Lord says, is in him. Zacharias was struck dumb because of his unbelief concerning the prophecy of the angel's words till the birth of John. Israel was instructed to obey the voice of God's angel sent to guide them in their journey. They were to be aware of him and to obey his voice. The word beware is the word shema. It means to care for. The angel was there to guard over them, to care for their well-being. And Israel is to be on guard. To be on guard to, Calvin puts it this way very well. He says, after he has said that an angel shall be their guardian, he warns them, on the other hand, that they should guard themselves. Herein is the angel exalted above the rank of a human being, since he is appointed to be their judge if the Israelites should offend in any respect. And the word obey is the word, again, of a similar sound, shema, to hear, to obey, to listen, to regard. And both words seem to sound alike in the original. The message to Israel was urgent. Israel was not to provoke or be bitter against the instruction that the angel would give for their good. And the negative not, the word al there, is an emotive word, an appeal to them to listen, to hearken to the words of the angel. And it's interesting that at the end of the sentence in verse 21, for he will not pardon your transgressions. And this word not, right, is the word lo. It means an objective negation of fact, of a truth. Your transgression or your rebellion will certainly be dealt with. So the Lord is saying to them, obey his voice, and if you would rebel against it, then be sure punishment will come. God's chastisement will come. The angel provides a sanctifying influence on his people to judge the people for their waywardness should they depart from the Lord and go after the gods of the land. Verse 32, thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor with their gods. They shall not dwell in thy land, lest they make thee sin against thee. For if thou serve their gods, it will certainly be a snare to thee. And so here you see how the Lord warns them against spiritual idolatry even before they entered the land. And the Lord says he abhors idolatry and of any association with the false gods of the land. And Israel is instructed to follow only the Lord their God. And so the first thought, purifying presence. Secondly, prospering presence, verse 22. But if thou shalt indeed obey his voice and do all that I speak, then I will be an enemy unto thine enemies and an adversary unto thine adversaries. For mine angel shall go before thee and bring thee in unto the Amorites and the Hittites and the Perizzites and the Canaanites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, and will cut them off. Thou shalt not bow down unto their gods, nor serve them, nor do after their works, but thou shalt utterly overthrow them and quite break down their images. The Lord shall fight for his people as they obey his voice according to his law, that they may bring honor and glory to his name. By their obedience, the Lord shall fulfill his law, his purpose to bring them into the land and to drive out their enemies and to establish them as a nation. Indeed, when Joshua led them into Canaan, the Jordan River was parted as dry land for them to cross safely. The angel also provided Joshua with the strategy to take the city of Jericho. When they obeyed the Lord, there was victory. When they disobeyed the Lord, there was defeat. Achan coveted the spoils of Jericho and hid them underneath his tents. The accursed thing caused Israel to be defeated until the accursed thing was destroyed. Israel experienced God's wrath. This was recorded in Joshua chapter 7, verse 19 to 26. The account gave of how Joshua spoke to Achan and how Achan confessed and how judgment was meted out. Joshua said in verse 25 of chapter 7, why hast thou troubled us? The Lord shall trouble thee this day. And all Israel stoned him with stones and burned them with fire. After they had stoned them with stones, they raised over him a heap of stones unto this day. So Israel turned from the fierceness of his anger, wherefore the name of that place was called the Valley of Achor unto this day. Prosperity hinges upon their obedience, a lesson that Israel learned through defeat and the need to get right with God. Israel cleaned house. God restored them his favor. Indeed, sin is an abomination to God. When God's people would be disobedient and meddle with sin, they experience God's chastisement. The book of Hebrews mentions chapter 12, for consider him that endures such contradiction of sinners against himself, lest ye be wearied and faint in your minds. Ye have not yet resisted unto blood, striving against sin, but ye have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto you as unto children. My son, despise not thou the chastening of the Lord, nor faint when thou art rebuked of him. For whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, and scourges every son whom he receiveth. If ye endure chastening, God dealeth with you as sons. For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not? But if ye be without chastisement, whereof are ye partakers? Then are ye bastards and not sons. Furthermore, we have had fathers of our flesh, which corrected us, and we gave them reverence. Shall we not much rather be in subjection unto the Father of spirits and live? For they verily for a few days chastened us after his own pleasure, but he for our profit, that we might be partakers of his holiness. Now no chastening for the present seemeth to be joyous, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterward it yieldeth the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby. Chastisement was meant to restore them back to God's favor, his prospering presence, his protective presence. Verse 25 to 31. Ye shall serve the Lord your God, and he shall bless thy bread and thy water, and I will take sickness away from the midst of thee. The Lord, as you serve the Lord, he says, he shall bless thee, he shall bless thy bread, and thy water he shall provide for you, and he shall take sickness away from the midst of thee. The Lord shall bless them with bread sufficient for their needs, and the supply of water, and also he will take away their diseases. The plagues of diseases shall not come nigh them. Psalm 91. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in whom will I trust. Surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and thy buckler. There shall nothing cast their young, nor be barren in thy land, and the number of thy days I will fulfill. Verse 26 of Exodus 23. The Lord shall also cause their womb to be fruitful. Except the Lord build the house, Psalm 127 says, they labor in vain that build it. Except the Lord keep the city, the watchman waketh in vain. It is vain for you to rise up early, to sit up late, to eat the bread of sorrows, for so he giveth his beloved sleep. Lo, children are an heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. So the Lord will bless them as they serve him, obey him, follow him. He will take care of them. And verse 27 of Exodus 23, I will send my fear before thee, and I will destroy all the people to whom thou shalt come. And I will make thy enemies turn their backs unto thee. The Lord says he will send his dread upon the hearts of the Israel's enemies, so that they have no strength before them. Rahab the harlot, the inhabitant of Jericho, gave a glimpse of the dread that God put in the hearts of Israel's enemies when she said in Joshua chapter 2 verse 9, I know that the Lord hath given you the land, and that your terror is fallen upon us, and that all the inhabitants of the land shall faint because of you. For we have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you, and that ye came out of Egypt, and what ye did unto the two kings of the Amorites that were on the other side Jordan, Sihon and Og, whom ye utterly destroyed. As soon as they have heard these things, our hearts did melt, neither is there remain any more courage in any man because of you. For the Lord your God, He is God in heaven above and in earth beneath. Now therefore, I pray, swear unto me by the Lord, since I've showed you kindness, that ye shall also show kindness to my house. Rahab understood the God of Israel, the dread of him, and they feared. She feared God, and she was willing to submit herself to the protection and care of Israel's God. That was wisdom for her. She was the only one, together with her family, saved when Jericho was completely taken down. And the Gibeonites, the people of the land, understood the terror of Israel's God, also sought a peace treaty, albeit by trickery. And Joshua chapter 9 verse 14 says, and the men took their victuals and asked not counsel at the mouth of the Lord. Israel, did not consult the Lord at that time. When the Gibeonites came to them, pretended that they have come from a faraway place, when in fact they were their neighbors, And Israel, when they did not sought the Lord, well, they did not receive God's care for them, in the sense that they willingly, without consultation with God, were hoodwinked to a treaty with their neighbors. God was there with them, and the Lord said to them that He would help them. He would drive out their enemies slowly. I will send hornets before thee. I will not drive them out before thee in 1 year, lest the land become desolate and the beasts of the field multiply against thee. But little by little I will drive them out from before thee, until thou be increased. The Lord knows how Israel is going to be established as a nation. Step by step, the Lord will guide them, sending His angel to show them the way, to protect them, to prosper them. And here we see how Israel, coming under the care of God, were such a privileged people before God. Thank the Lord for His mercy and His protection upon us, His people. And we can trust Him, and we can rely on Him to protect us, to bless us on our way. Amen.